pane of glass, GNS3. We go to our lab, number 2, ready to import our physical connected devices. Now, switch 1 over here has uplinks green and blue, going to go into core router 1 and 2. Switch number 2, down there, they have uplinks green and red, would go into routers 1 and 2 respectively. So let's head over to GNS3 and start building our lab. And to do so, you go over here and you select your core switches or routers. I'm using collapse core layer 3 switches, and we go ahead and put our switches, access switches for the different buildings in here. To do that, don't select anything else, go for the cloud and go for the cloud. Let's call this first building Curzon without an E, and let's call the building Hanover. Now, this interface 47, which is the green cable, is actually labeled EMP5S0, as we've seen over here, EMP5S0. I'm going to connect that. 48 is also the blue, it's EN01, which is also here. And for the second switch, we have ENP7S0 and then ENS6, the red one. So apply that and do OK. Whatever is here is the same for Hanover. So let's go ahead and connect our interfaces. So interface 47, which is the green one, ENP5, it goes to router 1, and interface EN0, which is interface 48, goes to router 2. I'm going to go over to Hanover, and Hanover uses ENP7S0, and we're going to use interface 2 here, and ENS6, and interface 2 here. Tidy it up nicely, make it straight. Now we want them to really look like what they're meant to be, and they're meant to be Ethernet switches. Apply that and change the symbol here and call it ETH. Apply that. So these links, as you can see here, this one here is a green over there, and this one here is a blue over there going to router 2. Now switch to Hanover. This link here is a green, and that link over there is the red. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start configuring, but I know you're concerned about the purple. The purple is dedicated for data center, where you can pass it through to like a DCP server and all. Okay, so let's go ahead and configure the IP addressing for these. The IP addressing is going to be pretty straightforward. Over here, we're going to use uh, select a space 172.16.254 network, and I'm thinking of making this one, this subnet. Let's see if I can use 8. I'm thinking of using 8/30, 8/30 over here, and then I'm thinking of using the subnet going across here, this one here, 12, the 12 subnet. Then this subnet here, we're going to be using, you guessed it, 12 plus 4, 16. And then that subnet over there, we'll be using the 20. Okay, now we need to establish connectivity between the core routers or switches with the access switches. Why don't we uh, create the interlink between the core switches? I'm going to find out if that's necessary, but perhaps we can leave that for another time. Um, let's go here and start that and start that. Now, in Cisco's, this interface here, to make that routed interface, so you can give an IP address, you go to that interface, and under the interface, you do no switch port. And that makes it a layer 3 interface, layer 3 interface, layer 3 interface here, layer 3 interface there. But as you can see, I'm using Arubas here, and Aruba does it in a different way. You would create a VLAN for this interface, and that interface, and that interface, and that interface. So let's use VLAN. Let's use VLAN, and we're going to do 110 and 08. The 808 represent the subnet there, which is the over there, and then the other one is going to be 10.112 that represent the subnet here. Then this interface here is going to be 10.16, which represent the subnets there. And when you design it this way, it's easier for you to recognize what each one does, uh, or what it belongs to. So over here, we're going to do 10.20. So these are the VLANs for all these interfaces. So in HP, you use a VLAN for your uplinks. Cisco, you don't need any VLANs. You just go no switch port, and that's done. So let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. Okay, now let's go ahead and go into switch router layer 3 device. And the interfaces is what we need. Always show the interfaces so it's easier for you to configure. F1, F2, F1, F2. So, and over here, this one we do know is ENP5S0 for that, EN0, and over here EN and then EN6. Okay, so those are really uplinks there. Okay, so ENP5S0 is this green one here, and then EN0 is the blue one on switch Curzon. Uh, Now the second switch is ENP7S0 and then ENS6. Later on, we will show you where it's connected to on your desktop machine at the back of it. But let's crack on a little bit so you see the connectivity and how it's established. So I'm going to go to router 1, and router 1 conf in T interface F1/0, and I'll give it a good description, and I'll say downlink to Curzon uplink EMP50. IP address 172.16.254, and I like to give the ORD. Dot 9 252, and I'll do a no shut there. So over here, dot 9 and then the 10